to give a mention my trip to visit my dad. I was out visiting my father in the prison in Fort Worth, Texas, over the weekend. I took my son Spencer. We both went out there. We stopped by Simon Black, had a little gathering, a meet and greet with the guys over at Sovereign Man. So we were there. And earlier that day, we went and visited my father. And, you know, the people who believe that, you know, the businessmen are greedy and they don't care about people, and we need the government to do things because the government cares and the government is benevolent and the government will take care of us because they put people before profits. Yeah, you know, you've never visited anybody at a prison, right, that is run by the government. This is a federal prison. And if you were to put together an organization and you were to try to do it as inefficiently as you possibly could, if that was your goal, then you would understand how a prison works. Because, you know, we got to this prison and it took us almost 2 hours to actually see my father, from the point that we arrived to the point that we can see him, because they have some cockamamie way to do it. I mean, first you get there and you stand on this long line where you tell them that you're there. You fill out a form and you tell them that you're there. Now, once everybody tells them that they're there, they give everybody one of these little buzzers, like you're waiting at a restaurant. You know, you go to a restaurant, you want to get a table, and they give you one of these things that buzzes. Now they had to give everybody on the line a buzzer. Now, maybe the brother-in-law, the guy that runs the prison, maybe he makes these buzzers, and that's why they decided to do this. So now they tell you to go out and wait in the parking lot. So everybody has to go back to the parking lot. They don't even have a lounge. You go wait in your car, and you wait for this thing to buzz, and that takes about an hour. And then you get back in line. And then they put you in groups, and they run you through the metal detectors and the screeners, and they put stamps on your arm, and they take you through these doors where, you know, one opens, then you go into a room, it locks, then the other one opens, and there's this whole big process. But why they didn't just process everybody at the beginning, at the first line? Why not just have you, when you show up, okay, you're here, and now just, you know, they had an extra step where had everybody line up and then line up again. It made no sense whatsoever. And then when you finally get in to the prison, that's when they alert the inmate that they have a visitor. Now, you've already been on the property for over an hour and a half. They know you're there. Why don't they alert the prisoners then so that they can have an advanced start? Because sometimes they're not in their rooms. They don't necessarily know when you're going to get there. They got to find them. They got to get over there. I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous. And the reason is, the guards, the people that run the prisons, they don't give a damn if you ever come back and visit your loved ones again. They couldn't care less. I mean, there's no customer service because there's no customers. We have no choice. If you want to visit someone in jail, you have to put up with the government bureaucracy. And as you know, probably the guards, they you know, as far as they're concerned, we're a nuisance. We're an annoyance. They just assume not have to do anything. That way they could watch, you know, the ball game on television. They have nothing but contempt for the people who are visiting, who, by the way, haven't broken any laws. They're being inconvenienced. They're having to visit a relative. You would think they'd be a little bit more sympathetic of the position that you're in, but they have nothing but contempt for you. And, of course, you've got to, you know, kiss their butts because they can make it miserable for whoever it is you're trying to visit, right? They can retaliate. Now, think about a private business, the way a private business is run. You know, even if the businessman doesn't like you, even if he's a bigot, even if he's an anti-Semite and he knows I'm a Jew, right, he's still going to have to kiss my tuchus because he wants me there. You know, there's a saying in business, the customer is always right. Why is the customer always right? Because if you own a business and you want to have a profit, you got to have a happy customer because happy customers come back. Happy customers tell their friends. So you need a happy customer. Even if the customer is totally wrong, he's right. You bend over backwards for your customer. Not because you're a nice guy, but because you want to make money. And because you want to make money, you treat your customers like gold. That is the beauty of the free market. But the government doesn't give a damn about you. They couldn't care less because they're not operating at a profit. So they treat you like crap. The customer is never right. When it comes to the government, the customer is always wrong. Who cares? Screw the customer. That is the attitude of the government. So whatever the government is going to supply us with, you've got all kinds of people that are looking forward to government-supplied health care. Well, it's going to stink. Just like government-supplied mail delivery, government-supplied trains, government prisons, they're not going to care about the customer because there's no profit. There's no incentive. There's nothing in it for them. It doesn't matter. They couldn't care less about it, you know. Now, my father used to always tell me this story about when he was at the post office one time, and he was online, and a woman came in behind him, and he was the only person there, and the woman came in and stood behind my dad. They're inside the post office, and the guy behind the counter said to the woman, he said, "Excuse me, we're closed." Now, she was there online, old lady, and she was just there to buy some stamps. You know, she's already online. I mean, no private business. Just because it turned 5 o'clock, you're not going to tell somebody, "Oh, we're closed." You're standing there. You're behind the window. There's nobody else behind her. In fact, if you ever go to the post office and you bring in a bunch of packages kind of near the 5 o'clock, they're pissed off at you for bringing over the packages. I mean, would any business, a profit-seeking business, be upset at their customers for bringing in a large order? No, I mean, you love it. I worked retail one time, and I remember, a couple of times when I was in high school or college, I had jobs. I worked at the store Champs in the Beverly Center selling clothing. I worked at a shoe store. But even if I was about to leave, if it was the mall was about to close and there was one guy that wanted to get in, I let him in because, he could have been a big sale. I mean, what if he came in at the end of the day? I would stay an extra half hour, an extra hour because I was on commission. I wanted to sell stuff. I didn't care if the guy came in at quitting time. I wasn't going to quit if I had a customer that was ready to come in the door. And that's how the private sector works. You let somebody in. You'll even unlock the door. If the guy looks like he's going to spend a lot of money at your store, depending on, maybe you look at him, what they're wearing. But I wanted to make money. I really didn't care about the customer because I didn't know the guy. All I knew is, I was there to make money. That's why I was at work. I wasn't there for fun. I was there to make money. And there's a customer that wants to come into the store. I want to help the guy because I want to get a commission. But the post office, they will shut that door at 5. They'll watch their watch. There could be a long line around the corner, and they're going to shut down. I don't care what time the store closes. If there's a long line for my business, I'm staying open. I'm telling everybody on that line, guess what? We're working late today. Because I got a big crowd of people who want to come in. That's the attitude. That's what happens in a free market. They care about people. I got into these arguments with these socialists, where they say, they had this protest in a park, and they said, we want to put people first, put people before profits, right? And I said, well, that's how you make a profit. You have to put the people first. Otherwise, you don't get a profit. If you put the people last, you don't have any customers, you don't have a profit. So the only enterprise that really has an incentive to put people first is a for-profit business. The government puts people last. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how inconvenient it is. It doesn't matter how inefficient it is. They don't give a damn. They've got another agenda, and it's not to satisfy the quote-unquote customer. It's to make as much money as they can for the bureaucrats. The more efficient they are, the more money they make, the more people they have to hire. And, of course, once a government worker has a job, he wants to do as little work possible. Now, of course, most people want to do as little work as possible. I don't blame government workers for not wanting to work. Look, if I was working at a prison or working at a post office, I wouldn't want to work either. I'd want to sit back and play on the computer. Why would you want to work? It's boring. It's dull. But there's a difference. See, in the free market, if you slack off, you're going to get fired. So you have to do a good job. You have no choice because you won't keep your job. But in the government sector, it doesn't matter. You don't have those kind of pressures, especially when you combine a labor union. When you have a labor union in there that's going to protect incompetent people from being fired, and you don't have a profit and loss. I mean, what makes incompetent people get fired is because the boss will get rid of them. Because if you've got somebody that's not doing a good job, they're costing you money. They're costing you customers. They're costing you profits, so you fire them. The only reason you're hiring people as a boss is to make more money. And if you hire somebody who's not making you more money, who's actually costing you money, you get rid of them. But if you make a bad hire in government, what do you give a damn? If some guy hires somebody to work beneath him in the government, I mean, who cares? His income isn't being affected. He doesn't care. In fact, he probably just wants to be liked. He probably wants to have friends, and it's easier to be friendly with your coworkers if you're not cracking the whip, if you're just one of the boys. So it doesn't work, and the losers are the so-called customers. The consumers always lose out when you get something from the government. That's why I say be careful what you wish for. There's nothing that will be as expensive as something that you get for free from the government.